What is up, guys? Welcome back. I hope you're having a phenomenal week. But let me be the first to tell you, no, you are not crazy. Yes, things are getting wild out there, but take heart, dear friend, for you found a place where you can find a brief respite and maybe be refreshed with just a little common freaking sense. My name is Chris, Green Beret, medic, husband, father.
I'm Pastor Eric. I am also a husband, father. I am also the wise sage who is here today, at least the kind of wisdom that comes from above.
That's what I'm talking about, and we're going to need it. Coming at you guys this week for the big idea. How do I stand up for what I believe in? We're going to talk about it. We're going to cover today's headlines with who's who and what's new. And then we're going to move into keeping the main thing. The main thing, I've got a rebuke that I'm going to be handing out for a church
What?
in
Whoa.
Minnesota. And don't think what you guys are doing up there is very Christian. So with that, here we go. All right, guys, we're going to move into the big idea. And this week for the big idea, I wanted to build on what we talked about last week. So for anybody that didn't tune into last week's episode, first of all, what's wrong with you? Go back, check it out. We talked about masculinity. Can it be good or is it only toxic? And something that came up during the course of that conversation was what it truly means to be masculine are those who provide, protect, and preside over those that they are responsible for, and how you don't have to be great at everything. You don't have to be the big macho man, but just stand up for what you believe in. And so that brings us to the big idea for this week, and that is, how do you stand up for what you believe in? Because I can hear a bunch of you out there just being like, well, you know, I don't necessarily have like a platform to where I can go on and talk to a lot of people, or I don't necessarily have a job that, you know, requires me to serve people, right? So how do I stand up for what I believe in where I am? Does that make sense? And I think having a primer or having a call to action, having a list of things that we can tangibly do really helps speak truth to power to people, to give them something small that they can do every day, you know, to help them start moving to being a better man, to being a better person. So what do you think? How, if you were to tell somebody, if somebody came up to you and, you know, it just hit you like after a Sunday sermon or something, and was just like, well, how do I stand up for what I believe in? What would you say to them?
Well, the first thing is your home. That's the first place where you got to stand up. And in the home, it looks first at your internal personal integrity. So you say it, don't be a hypocrite, live it. If you not sure what to live, this is where you start pursuing it. It's like, okay, how do I become better? All right, I incorporate it into my life. I don't just give lip service to it. I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to live it. I'm going to live it out in front of my wife. I'm going to live it out in front of my children. It's going to become me. Second place you do is you live it out in your community. So when you're out in the yard, when you're doing the work, when you're walking around, when, doesn't matter what you're doing, that integrity comes out of you wherever you are in your community. And then third, finally, and this is the final thing, once that integrity is starting to ooze out of you, then get involved in the community and allow that integrity, allow what is coming out of you to go public and put it out into the public arena and use it for the public good. But it starts in the home first. It starts personally first. Go seek it, become that better person. And you know that I'm going to tell you that the only way to become that better person is you start with a faith in Jesus Christ, and that changes you. And once that relationship starts happening, and then it oozes out into all those other areas that I just said.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I was gonna say, you know, start with something small. It's funny that you said start in your home, because my first thing was gonna be start with something small, and then you said your number two, right? You were like, don't just make sure that you're doing it behind closed doors. Make sure that you're not just saying it, but then you're actually doing it. And my second thing was going to be a little bit from the other side of the coin on that one. But I was going to say, find somebody that can hold you accountable. Because if it's just in your head and then you're just saying like, oh, I'm going to be, I'm going to do this thing today. But you didn't go out and like say to anybody, make a declaration that you were going to do it. Well, then who would know whether you did the thing that you said you were, right? That's only you. Only you in your head did you know, right? And who is the easiest person to let down?
So let's go back and talk about that.
It becomes easy to let yourself down because you're like, I'll give myself a break. Right.
Okay, Jen Psaki, here we go.
Oh, geez.
Isn't it funny? We can do a Psakiism, and I don't have to say, well, let's circle back.
Well, if you really want
to. No, let focus in on this a minute, and I'll throw it at you. How bad is it in our communities? How bad is it in our culture that people like living in their own echo chamber? Because see, that's what you're defeating. You're defeating living in your own echo chamber. Somebody telling you what you want to hear, and saying that you're going to align yourself with a person that's going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you what they see and say, well, you said you wanted to do this, but I'm looking at you, and I'm going to throw something right at you about me that you called me out on years ago. So we're on a band trip. Go with me now. We're in Delphus, Ohio. We have got probably 15, 20 other teens that are running around us. We're done with a show. We're packing up. We're on a great big, huge stage. I don't know if you remember this or not. And I'm having to holler across the stage. These kids come up, volunteer. They want to help us to pack up, and we're trying to pack up and get all of our stuff down, get it back into the trailer and all this kind of stuff. And as I'm barking out orders, you walked over to me and you told me what I looked like to the other kids. You said to me, and I don't know if you remember this or not, hey, Dad, you need to cool it down. They think you're angry. I know you're not, but that's the way you're coming across. Do you remember that?
No, this one's not coming back.
But you had to tell me.
Okay.
Now, I had that point in my life. I could let a 16-year-old kid tell me what I look like, and I could say really quick, I could have gotten defensive. I could have said, no, I'm not. And it wasn't my intent to come across sounding mean, like I'm hollering at people, but that's still what I looked like. You could have told me what that was, and I could have denied it, but the truth is still the truth, right?
Yeah.
So that's just a scenario that we ran into. Or I could stop and listen to what you had to say because you're viewing me. So you see me. I only see out this way. Mm-hmm. But you were seeing what was going on, and we could have ruined a lot of things. I could have ruined the influence. Like I said, there was 16, 20 kids up on that stage trying to help us pack, and we were trying to move it and get out of there before midnight. You know what it's like after a show, and you're tired, and we're all sweating down. All that kind of stuff's going on, and we want to get out, get a little something to eat and probably go to bed.
Yeah, when you're doing that kind of work, playing the show becomes the break. It's all the stuff you do in front and then afterwards. That's the work. I remember.
But you told me what I looked like, and it's like, hey man, because I think a kid came to you and said, "Why is your dad so angry?"
Probably.
And it's like, well, he's not. And then you had to slip over beside me and say, hey, man, that's how you're coming across. Then the onus is on me. What do I do with that?
Sure.
Okay. I mean, I could have just shrugged it off and said, no, that's not what I was doing, and go about doing the same thing and ruin the ability to speak into somebody's life or to have influence in somebody's life.
Yeah.
Or I could change.
I think
change quick.
People tend to think that the usefulness of advice is based on whether or not you like the person that it comes from. And that's just not the case. And I've learned a lot of things from people that I don't like. Yep. Right. But but that's not necessarily the direction I want to go, but that's a thought that just came out of what you said.
But when you had said that, but the echo chamber.
Yeah.
we have a cultural problem with people living in an echo chamber, and instead of seeking sound advice, even if it's from somebody that you don't like, if it's true, it's true.
Yeah.
And but that's the reason why that part of integrity doesn't work. People want to go to an echo chamber and just hear what they want.
So I would say, getting back to where we were, that don't just so find somebody that you can use. Accountability is a strong tool. Tell somebody that you're going to do a thing. Put it on the line. Say it out loud that you're going to do a thing, so that way, if you fail to do a task, if you fail to meet the standard, you have to look somebody in the eye. It puts skin in the game, and that'll force you to get out of your echo chamber, or that'll force you to get out of your previous patterns of behavior and actually do a thing. And then I would say, how to stand up for what you believe in. You need to find a place to volunteer your time. I'm a big believer in this. I think that everybody, it doesn't matter if you're not a religious person, the easiest one to check that box would be like a church. If you guys go to church, everybody should be plugged into their church and should
get involved.
Be involved. It causes you to be part of a group. It causes you to do all the things that we just said, that you now have to be at a place at a certain time to do a thing that you said that you're going to do. And then, choose the place that you volunteer at, to be involved at, that it aligns with the beliefs that you want to stand up for. Right.
Three national clubs: Rotary Club, Kiwanis, and the other one slipped my mind. So let me just say two. Those clubs are all around the country. They operate. Guess what? They do volunteer work.
Absolutely.
So if you don't want to go to the church, you're not a person of faith, or that's not where you want to put it, Rotary Club, Kiwanis. There you go.
And
there's two
there
more.
are tons of organizations out there.
Oh, Lions. That was it. Lions Club.
Right. For my veterans out there, VFW. There's tons of organizations to be involved in, so that you can put skin in the game, that will require you to do a thing. If you say that you believe in something, go find an organization that already is involved in that arena, and just do something small. Man, I've spent a lot of hours of my life cleaning up tables and stacking chairs. And the thing is, somebody's got to do it, man.
Yep.
Right? Yep. Somebody's got to do it.
And let me do a shout out for the Legion, because I'm still involved with the Legion. They ask me to come and participate. I gladly go and volunteer my time with the Legion.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what we got for you guys this week. Just a couple like how-tos or things that you can write down if you're looking for ways to, especially if you listened through last week's episode. Again, go back and check it out if you haven't. But you're like, you heard what we were talking about, heard what we were talking about. And if you had that question, it's like, well, how do I, start standing up? It's like, that's what it is, man. Just find a thing that you believe in. Get yourself an accountability partner. Tell somebody that you're going to do a thing. Find an organization that mirrors the beliefs that you have, and
mirrors your beliefs.
Get involved. Don't sit on the couch. Don't reach for another potato chip, man. Don't reach for another beer. Don't let another weekend go by that you look back on. Listen, you will always have time that you look back on and that you will regret that you never did a thing. But I have never had one time where I accomplished something where I look back and regretted accomplishing a thing.
Yep. Don't be the person that says, man, somebody ought to. Well, that somebody ought to be you.
Yeah, if you're saying that. So that's what we got for you guys this week. Thanks for hanging out for the big idea. Hope you guys stick around for who's who, what's new, and keeping the main thing that we got coming up. Catch you guys in the next one.
See you on the next side.